You can auto-build any material and use its effects. It just has to be glued to something. You can do this with bomb flowers, metal buds, jellies, and more. You can even just fuse them to one another if you need to. Also, do this for some rare or some random parts like from shrines, again, as long as they're glued together with something else. If you want to collect a whole bunch of an item from the same place, you can make an auto build of those items. For example, a whole bunch of apples and a few golden apples, and you can take them off trees and bunch them together using the auto build. But honestly, ice rods are probably better for taking apples down. You can spin anything with Ultra Hand a whole bunch of times, then recall it and it'll spin by itself. Spinning it with Ultra Hand won't hurt an enemy, but if it's being recalled, it needs to be fused with something and it can hurt the enemy. Get creative, build a spinning thing with some weapons attached to it and set traps for enemies. Or you could use a Zonai wheel to make things spin on its own. You can also attach some weapons, logs, emitters, and more. If you put a platform in the middle, you can stand on it and shoot arrows from the top of the platform. You can use an open spring as suspension for car builds so they in theory go over rough terrain better. You can use cages with some emitters inside and use these as traps for some enemies. You can also use a cage on an enemy and just shock the cage. You can also use the cage to protect yourself, but I don't know what you're going to do with this. If you create a closed cage with the same idea but with cuckoos, you can do this to get infinite eggs without being attacked. You can save a Korok backpack in your auto build. If you plan on using the same auto build, this could save you some time to get the Korok attached to it. Platform and rocket on an auto build is a pretty good build. And stacking them on one another without gluing will allow you to activate them one at a time, and you can use a rocket shield to go even higher at the end. Platform and 45-degree rocket is also good to reach some high places. One of the best auto builds to favorite most people talk about is a hover bike. There's multiple ways to do it and can be difficult to make it perfect, but you can try playing around with it and see which is best for you. One way is to make a steering stick 45 degrees and attach the front to a fan that's laying down. Then attach another fan to the back. And this only costs 9 Zonite if you don't have the parts. You can also do this on the sides of the control stick to get more vertical travel. You can use flame emitters for Zonai balloons, but it uses lots of battery. So instead of the flame emitter, you can use a torch or burnt wood. Some items and machines will despawn if you get a little too far from them or if they travel too far. However, a dragon part won't despawn unless you're 2,000 meters from it. So guess what? If you glue a dragon part to your machine, it won't despawn. You can leave, come back, and pick up the dragon part, just don't fast travel away. If you cook something while on a machine, it will replenish your battery. Wings only despawn after a certain time if they're flying forward. So if you want a wing to last as long as possible, try using it backwards. It won't despawn, but the aerodynamics are kind of weird. You can play around with this idea. I use a stabilizer, but the machine won't go up, but it does turn. If you auto build these water globules by attaching it to something, they will break right away. But why is this a good thing? If you want to have multiple Zonai machines, you have to build them individually. But if you build one, attach it to a globule, and build another also attached to the globule, when you auto build it, they both will be built and they'll be separated.